Okay, another thing you can learn about quadratics is how to solve for systems. Okay, solve each system. So again, you're finding where the parabolas would cross. Okay. And actually, the funny part is here they can cross in two different places, so that's something to consider. Now, the first part, what you do is you use substitution. Since y is equal to this, you just set these now. Since, in a system, the y is the same letter. So y is equal to y, okay? Y would be equal to itself, but then x to the second minus 7x minus 6, because that's what the top y equals, is also equal to the expression 8 minus 2x. Okay, now solve that just like you normally would. You have x to the second, but you also have x. So you have to move everything to one side of the equation so you can factor it, so you can have it equal to 0. Now, the best way you could go about it is the side that has the larger x squared, go to the opposite side and get rid of these. So the 8 I subtract, and I'll subtract it from negative 6. I'll add the 2, and then I'll add 2 to negative 7. So we have 1x to the second minus 5x minus 14 equals 0. Then that's a relatively easy trinomial to factor. There wouldn't be a greatest common factor, so the GCF's 1. I don't need to do it. Okay. Now, I'm going to kind of start explaining factoring more along Larson's lines to get you guys prepared. You go ABC, okay? So 1 times negative 14 is negative 14, okay? And Coach Larson always tells you to add to try to get to negative 5, okay? He's never going to say minus. Now, look at your negative up on the 14. The only way to multiply two numbers to a negative is if you have a positive and a negative. Okay, so 1 and 14, that is not negative 5. And if you switch the signs to negative positive, it wouldn't be negative 5 either. Okay, 14 divided by 2 is 7, positive, negative, and that is negative 5. Now, let's say I add them together and it's positive 5, then I just switch the signs. Okay, but one has to be positive, one has to be negative. Okay, so I think that's what we're rolling with here. My a is 1, so you can get rid of the implied 1 because it's just x squared minus 5x minus 14. So x squared is x times x, and then plus 2 minus 7 equals 0. Now set each one of your two factors equal to 0, and you got your x value. Now there's two of them, so you're going to make a second solution to your system. Okay, minus 2, so that's negative 2. Plus 7, that's 7. Now to get your y's, you just pick one of the equations, and it doesn't matter which one. First, you're going to replace the x with negative 2, okay? That's times right there. So I'll go 8 minus 2 times negative 2. That's 12. The reason why it's 12 is because you're taking, the minus 2 is a de facto negative. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. Okay. Also, write that a second time. Write that y equals 8x squared minus 8 minus 2x. Write that again, okay, because we'll use that then to plug in the 7. Because negative 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, and 8 plus 4 is 12, okay? So the two graphs would cross there, and then I replace the x in with 7, okay? Remember, that means 8 minus 2 times 7, okay? So we know 2 times 7 is 14, 8 minus 14 is negative 6. You multiply first, okay? So that is your two solutions. Okay, I'm going to go over another one. Remember, these are on the same graph, so the y's are going to be equal because, you know, y and y are the same thing. So then you replace the y's, both of them, with the expression. So you have negative x to the second minus 2x plus 8 equals x to the second minus 8x minus 12. And oh lordy, do we have a mess here. Everything has to move to one side because you have x to the second and you've also got x. Now the side to delete would be the side with the smaller x to the second. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this because plus 1x second, and then I'll add that to the 1x second already there. Plus 2x, and then I add that to the negative 8x. minus 8, and then I subtract 8 from there. So that gives me 2x to the second minus 6x minus 20 equals 0. So just like it would, I know it has two answers. There are two crossing points for these two graphs. If I put these on a graph, they would be two parabolas and they would intersect twice. We have to find the points of intersection using the substitution method. Okay, so it's a trinomial. Okay, greatest common factor. 2, 6, and 20 I'll divide by 2. Just 2 though, not 2x. So I factor out a 2. And this is 1, so I'm just going to write it as x to the second. Okay, you can put a 1 if you want. Minus 3x minus 10. So the trinomial I factor is now here. Okay, the ABC. So 1 times negative 10 is 10 negative. Okay, so I know we have to have a positive and negative on this table. That's the only way to multiply two factors to a negative. And again, Mr. Larson's always going to say add to negative 3. Okay. So 1 and 10, nope, that's negative 9. So positive 2 and negative 5, that would be negative 3. Let's say I mess up the sign so it's positive 3. Well, then just switch them, okay? I mean, I have it right here. But let's say I accidentally put a positive 5, negative 2. Well, that adds up to positive 3. Well, you can fix that problem by just changing the signs. Swapping the signs is what I call it. Okay, so the a is 1. You can go ahead and get rid of that. So we know we're going to have x plus 2, x minus 5. Okay. Now that factor of 2 right there drops down, but since it doesn't have an x, I don't use it to solve the equation. Okay. I'm just going with the x plus 2 and the x minus 5. So I can easily see that the x coordinates are going to be negative 2 and positive 5 respectively. Okay. Now I'm going to replace all the x's here with negative 2, okay, and see what y equals. I'm just going to use my calculator for that. So negative 2 to the second power minus 2, and then negative 2 plus 8. Okay, so that's 8. And now I'm going to replace all the x's with 5. And it doesn't matter which one you're using. Okay, you can use this or this. They'll be the same. Okay, I'll prove it to you here in a second. Okay. That's negative 27. Okay. Now again, plug negative 2 into the bottom. So negative 2 to the second minus 8, negative 2 minus 12. That's 8, just it's the same thing, and I'll plug 5 in. It's going to work for both of them, but again, when you're finding your y's, you can just use one. You could also use one, and then for the other one, use the other. It doesn't really matter, okay? Negative 27, okay?